Welcome to another episode of the Hospice Redefined podcast. I'm Rachel Carta, your host, a hospice RN, functional nutrition counselor, and life coach. Today's episode is truly a special one. We're centering on a deeply meaningful and community event that's happening. This is our beloved butterfly release. This is a beautiful ritual that offers a powerful symbol of transformation, remembrance, and spiritual comfort to all who participate. In fact, personally, I haven't missed one of these since I started as an RN, and I look forward to many to come. It's a time to connect to our loved ones who have passed on, and as a nurse, it's a time for me to connect with families that I've been honored to spend time with. I'm so honored today to be joined by our spiritual caregiver at the Geisinger Hospice office, Carrie Stine. She has been with our office and seen hundreds of patients in her 14 years of service. And we're going to talk today about the butterfly experience, the significance behind the butterflies, and hear how some of these moments have touched families that are healing through loss. Welcome to Hospice Redefined. This is the podcast where we uncover the true purpose of hospice care and empower caregivers, families, and healthcare professionals with practical tools, compassionate support, and valuable insights. Let's face it, hospice is often misunderstood. It's viewed as an ending or a sign of giving up. But in reality, hospice is about life, living with dignity, comfort, and meaningful connection during one of life's most profound transitions. I'm your host, Rachel Carta, a registered nurse with experience in hospice care, alongside of an incredible team of hospice professionals. We're here to shift the narrative and provide support to the caregivers who are really in the trenches. Whether you're one of those caregivers, a healthcare professional, or someone curious, or even if you're uncertain about hospice, this is the podcast for you. Let's redefine hospice care together, one conversation at a time. Thank you so much for being here, Carrie.
Thank you, Rachel, for asking me to join you today.
So, the butterfly release is such a powerful and symbolic event. Can you share what the butterfly represents for those who are grieving or remembering their loved ones?
So, butterflies have a lot of meaning. One, they do represent new life, but butterflies also leave a legacy, and I like to think that they leave a legacy of love in the fact that there's a number of butterflies that migrate yearly to Central America and South America, and then they return back to then lay eggs in the southern part of the US. And then that generation has this legacy that drives them to come back to our area, and it is really incredible. I also like to think of the fact that butterflies remind us again of our loved one, and we get to think about them and once again say goodbye as we see these butterflies fly away and just stand in amazement.
I love that so much. And when I came to the last butterfly service, it was only recently after my own dad had passed away. And the one thing that I thought about as we were preparing to release the butterflies was that legacy that he has left. And I thought about how in all of our patients, I'll try not to get choked up here, but that in all of our patients and in their families, like people live on and they live on through us. And even me talking about this, my dad was such a social person, and he would have, just loved to see us talking about this, and he would have loved the symbolism of it. So I think that as loved ones get to come to this service and they get to experience this moment of, it's really very sacred. It's a very sacred time where we're actually holding in our hands a live butterfly. I had no idea that's what it was going to be the first time. In fact, I really didn't even know what it was going to be. I just came because I want to support everything. And holding this live butterfly and being able to think about our loved ones. and just releasing it into the wild. It was just such a special and profound experience. And let's talk a little more about that. But I just wanted to bring up that whole legacy thing because your loved one, if you're listening and you've lost someone, your loved one is still with you and their legacy carries on in you. And especially in whatever you choose to carry forward, we can carry the parts of our loved one that we want to carry forward. And I just wanted to cut in for a moment and say that, Carrie.
Well, thank you, Rachel, because that's what I like to think of memories of different patients that I've served, along with family members, and then to hear what they have to share about special memories that they have, things that they want to share with others about their family member. It just makes you smile. It gives you joy, and you experience the love that that family has.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because it makes us remember that this time of life is very challenging. And when we can look for, as the support staff that's coming into the home, we're not seeing this person as just a patient. We want to see them as a family member, as a loved one. We want to know about them. I mean, I want to know their stories. I want to know the funny stuff they did. I always am asking people in their 90s about their antics of what they were up to when they were young. And this butterfly service is a great way to bring out some of these memories.
Yes.
So even though it is a very hard time and we're dealing with grief, we also want to celebrate these memories. So
Mhm.
thank you for bringing that up. So from your perspective as a spiritual caregiver, how do you feel like these events support families emotionally and spiritually during their hospice journey and beyond?
So, one of the ways that you can help your grief um, and your bereavement is through creating memories like this, attending a butterfly release, or there's other types of events that we offer where you get to do something that creates a new memory and you connect it with your grief in a positive way. I also find that the butterfly release is a wonderful way for families to come and get closure as you see staff, our nurses, social worker, aides that visited with you, and we get to once again see you and see how you're doing, offer some support. I also like to highlight upcoming events that we're having. If you're really struggling in your grief, we offer numerous grief groups. Also, the bereavement coordinator, myself, can come and visit and do some one-on-one counseling with you briefly. But we want to support you and see you grieving in a positive way that you can live your life and enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up too, Carrie, because now what I hear you saying behind everything you're saying is that you are not alone in your grief. And that even
Yes,
though you may have experienced the hospice journey, just because your loved one is passed, we are not gone.
right.
I often say that to people when I come to do the very last visit. I will say, we're not gone from your life. Reach out to us. We want to be there for you. And you highlighted that you have support groups. There's multiple ways of attending those. You can have a visit from Carrie herself or one of our other bereavement coordinators, or you can have a visit from the nurse or even the aide. The people that you got close to, you can still see them, and we want to see you. We love to
Right.
see you. I think that the idea of creating a positive memory from the butterfly release is such a great and powerful way to change an experience that could have been extremely challenging into one that, of course we're not minimizing the grief or the struggle, but allowing you to feel your feelings, allowing the tears to flow as the
Mhm.
butterfly falls, and allowing everything to be as it is.
Yes, that's exactly what we want to offer.
And that leads me to my next kind of question because many people do find it difficult to express their grief. I often joked many years ago that I had had therapy to help to learn how to feel my feelings. And ever since that happened, I had a hard time turning it off. So I'm easy to cry because of that. But I know that's not always the case for people, and that people have a hard time expressing grief. And I would love to hear how participating in this relief, we kind of talked about this already, but how can participating it, sharing your stories, talking with the staff, how can that help people process their emotions that maybe there are no words or they don't have the words for, but just the act of the butterfly release? How does that help us process our feelings?
Many times there's several of us that help in the presentation of our program. And I know that I try to find some ways to relate with your grief and what you're experiencing to the butterfly and why we release them. So I shared earlier that butterflies leave a legacy of love, but butterflies also then they are incredibly fragile.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that we too were
Mm.
very fragile.
Yeah.
Butterflies need to have the air and sunlight to fly, and we too we need to expose ourselves to people who listen to us, who can help encourage us. And I know the butterflies, if there's certain things, if you try to help open their cocoon or their chrysalis, you can actually cause them to fail. So we have
Mm.
to do things in a orderly way in releasing. The same with grief. Sometimes you force yourself too soon and then you're stepping backwards. So you just have to allow yourself slowly to grieve and process your pain. It's wonderful to talk with others and to allow, as we're thanking the wind to lift you up and take you on a new journey that you're beginning without your loved one, but knowing that they are there with you.
I love that you just talked about this fragile journey of a butterfly. That's such a beautiful comparison to life itself, the fragility of life, and also of the grief journey. And it is true that for a lot of people, it's like, okay, I got to get back to work. I got to get to my thing. I have to keep going. I have to kind of stuff this down. But you mentioned that you could go backwards if you
Yes.
do that. I think that's a really, we'll have to have another episode just about grief in general.
Yes.
This is the teaser, everyone. We'll have another one about grief, but I just think that highlighting the fragility of the butterfly and of the fact that you have to release it a certain way, and if you try to force it or you try to open a chrysalis that you find in the wild, that butterfly probably won't survive, or
Right.
it won't be able to go on the journey it was meant to go on. This is your grief journey, just like that.
Yeah. And sometimes we feel like we're in a cocoon.
Yeah.
We have to, and it's true.
Yeah.
You're many times in the beginning of your grief, you're in shock
Hmm.
and you feel like you're in, some people also describe it as a fog.
Yeah.
But then as the weeks and months go by, as you talk with others, reach out for support, you find that you're able to move forward and begin to enjoy life. And your loved one would want you to enjoy life and go on living, remembering them each and every day. So my sisters today just sent out a recipe. We like to share recipes that my mom made, who died 3 years ago. And so my sisters just all shared. I haven't had a chance to comment about one of the recipes that my mom made. And we like to do, remember things that she did. The same with if it's your dad or if it's your husband or your wife, son or daughter or other family member, aunt or uncle. What wonderful things did they do that you want to remember? I like what Rachel said too. What things make us laugh
So
that they did?
I'll just share that my dad had the funniest nicknames for people, and he said all these funny random words all the time. And ever since he died, my siblings, there's a lot of us. We will say certain words and we just laugh and look at each other because we know it came from dad. And we also just see in ourselves pieces of him. And so I
Y-
think what I'm hearing with what you say with the recipes and it's this way of keeping them alive.
Oh,
It's
yes.
the way of keeping their
Yeah.
memory
Yes.
alive.
And so a butterfly release is a great way to remember. You can also honor those who are living. So caregivers,
Yeah.
family members who took care of the person that you're remembering.
Yeah, and we'll share at the end of the episode how you can get those butterflies. And Carrie mentioned that you can honor someone who's gone by and you can honor someone who's still living. I like that too. I mean, we should honor the ones that, I mean, really, we should be having thousands of butterflies going up,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Thousands. I mean, there's just so honoring and being sacred of and just recognizing the power of this life, like the fragility and the sacredness. Like it's no accident that anyone is here. Anyone who's here living and breathing, like so many things had to happen just right to make
Mhm.
that happen. I always think about that and always talk about that. So every little
Yeah.
piece of us is a miracle.
So, well, yeah, that's wonderful. Those are some of the reasons why you should join us.
Yes, definitely. And we'll tell you all about, how to do that and where it is and everything. And even if you're listening to this after this has passed, we do this every year. So if you're local to our area, we're in the Selinsgrove area, Pennsylvania. If you're local, we do this every year. But also these kind of things go on all over. So if you're
Yeah.
listening to this, in another country, or if you're listening from California or wherever you are, you might be able to find something like this in your area where this is not
Yeah.
unique to our
Right.
organization. As I'm thinking about our past services that we've had, our past releases, I have so many like things coming into my mind. But what has been one of the most meaningful moments that you've witnessed during past butterfly releases?
I think one of the fondest memories that I have is seeing butterflies come back and land on somebody's shoulder or even on their hand. So it just speaks to their heart, brings a smile to their face. And so I just enjoy watching the butterflies being released for children, how they react, or grandchildren, and the great joy that they have. I think also looking up and seeing them flying, but I know some butterflies land on the ground, and watching them gain their warmth so that they can then fly up in the air. So those are some of the memories that I have.
I love those. And, myself as a nurse, one of the things I absolutely love is seeing my patients' families again. And I can remember seeing ones that come year after year. And I also love that because it keeps the connection alive. It keeps the connection between us and the families and just remembering that patient because, we see a lot of patients. So when we see
Yeah.
the family, we get to really connect back into those moments and how much they meant to us. Because I don't know about you, Carrie, but I see spending time with families at end of life to be a very sacred honor. It's
Yes.
it's not just a job. I'm so excited to see you all there. I hope you can attend. And the cool thing is you can bring your families, you can bring kids, grandkids. It doesn't have to be there's room there. So there's plenty of room in this place for a lot of people. I'd like to see it's an outside pavilion, but let's break down the walls with a lot of people. And so this is September 14th. This is going to be held on September 14th at 2 p.m. outside of Sunbury, Pennsylvania at the corner of Seven Points Road and Route 890. This location is known as the Grove at United Lutheran Church. And you can call our hospice office to get more information about it and also to buy your butterfly. So our office number is 570-473-6317. And for those of you who needed to go grab a pen real quick, let me say it again, 570-473-6317. And let me tell you another thing that we haven't touched on. So the reason why you're buying the butterfly, so it's one for $15 and two for 25, is because when you purchase this butterfly, not only are you honoring your loved ones, but you're supporting the Hospice Promise Foundation. This directly benefits families and hospice patients facing financial hardship. And 100% of the money that you pay for these butterflies is going there. This can be anything from rent and utility assistance to emergency repairs, food support, burial expenses, and even granting wish fulfillment moments. We have seen this Hospice Promise Foundation come into play for people that are in very desperate situations and things that people really need help with. And so, on that note, if you want to donate to the Hospice Promise Foundation, you're welcome to call the office and get information on how to do that, even if you can't attend this butterfly service. But if you're listening and you're thinking, wow, like this is a great thing that people are doing and we want to help donate, you're welcome to call and do that anytime, no matter when you're listening to this episode. So if you are coming, we want you to come early if you can, so you can grab a seat and maybe chat a little bit. Like I said, bring your friends and family. There's going to be a program that Carrie does, and some of us will be helping with that. And then we'll do the butterfly release in the field. So it's really just a beautiful way to just be in the sacredness of all of this that carries so much further than beyond the hospice walls. And this just really defines our mission of compassionate care when it matters most. Anything else, Carrie?
Now, I hope that you, after hearing this program, would like to hold a butterfly and that you will join us for that event. Or if you're not in our area, you will look for another hospice program that is offering a butterfly release, and that you will get to experience that sacred moment of remembering your loved one and then seeing them fly away, and know that their legacy is still with you.
So beautifully said. If anyone has any questions about this, you can also send me an email at hospiceredefined@gmail.com. And I'd love to answer any questions that you have. I would love for any of you listeners to please share this episode. Please share it with your loved ones. If anyone's wondering if they should attend, you can just send them this episode and they'll have a really good idea of what this is all about.
There's one thing I want to add. If you are interested in purchasing a butterfly for this program, we actually have a deadline of August 8th, which is a Friday. So
soon.
please reach out to us soon.
Okay, yes. And remember, if you're listening to this after the date, we do this every year and we'll keep you, in the loop, especially if you email me, I can put you on a list so that we won't forget you. Again, that's hospiceredefined@gmail.com. So thank you all so much, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Hospice Redefined. We see you, we hear you, and we're so glad that you're a part of this community. Please visit hospiceredefined.com to find our free caregiving guide and to keep updated on all of the latest podcast episodes. If you know someone who's interested in hospice, or maybe they're curious, or maybe there's someone who needs it for their family, please share this episode with them. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you on the next episode.